Hey, what's up YouTube? In today's video, we're going to look at the 5 most common mistakes or things to avoid when you are driving your brand new or used electric vehicle or EV. Now, a lot of these mistakes are centered around range efficiency and maximizing that claimed range that you get. So let's say, for example, a car is advertised with 250 miles of claimed range. Now, you have to remember that this figure was achieved in optimal testing conditions. That means you're driving at a steady speed, probably with cruise control on clean, smooth roads. There is no stop-start traffic, probably about temperatures of around 20 degrees Celsius, which means you don't really need AC, but you also don't need your heated seats or heated steering wheel, whatever it might be. And that's how you achieve those claimed ranges in those perfect conditions. Now, we know in real world driving that's not going to be the case. You're going to have your AC, you're going to have heating on, there's going to be stop-start traffic, whatever it might be. But there are some things that you can do to help maximize that claimed range to avoid you depleting your battery much quicker than you would if you follow this advice. Let's get started. Now, the first mistake is using the wrong regenerative brake setting. Now, pretty much every single EV or electric vehicle comes with this brake regeneration, which basically allows energy to feed back into the car or into the battery when braking. Now, this can be softened or hardened depending on the actual settings of the car. And you also may know, so Tesla referred to this, for example, as one pedal drive. Essentially, you can pretty much, depending on what the settings are, drive it every day just using your right foot on the accelerator, let go of the accelerator, it will decelerate automatically. The actual brake pedal will only ever be used in emergency settings, for example, again, depending on what your settings are. So higher levels of brake regeneration will slow your car down faster and feed energy back into the car quicker, whereas low levels will basically, your car will be more similar to that of a petrol or diesel vehicle and allow you to coast along slowly and then slowly come to a stop, or unless you actually use the brakes, which kind of defeats the purpose of an EV. But what a lot of people do is use the wrong setting depending on your journey that you're on. So typically you might have, high, medium, low, and off. Again, it depends on the car. If you're in stop-start traffic, so if you're driving about in town, typically you're going to want to use the high regenerative setting that allows as much energy to go back into the car as possible. Whereas if you're on a motorway and you're doing, low, consistent speeds, there's less braking involved, put it on a low setting. That will allow you to achieve more maximum efficiency in regards to the actual claimed range the car is advertising. Fortunately, however, some of the latest cars, such as the Mercedes EQS, I believe, and some others that are coming out now, have something called automatic brake regeneration, which will allow the car to predict what is the most optimal setting depending on the journey that you're currently doing. So if you're on the motorway, it will push it down lower, and if you're on city driving, it will push it down higher. But most cars, except for the new ones that are coming out now, or the more premium models, you'll need to change the setting manually in the infotainment screen. Now, the second mistake that drivers tend to make is, and this may sound obvious, but it's going faster than the advertised speed limit. Now, aside from legal and safety reasons, you should always obviously abide by the speed limits of the and the laws of the roads. But there are some obvious advantages to actually slowing down and going slower than what's advertised. So the slower you go, typically, is you'll see a longer range, and it's better for your battery health of your vehicle. If you start flooring, especially if you start going above 70 miles per hour on the motorway, you start to see significant decrease in the health of your battery for that particular journey. And actually, the Department of Energy has advised that cutting your speed limit where possible by 10 miles an hour will save approximately 14% in terms of battery range and efficiency. So that's, if you're looking to make some savings, that's something that can be found there. The third point, which is a kind of a follow-on point from point number 2 in terms of the speed limits, is around excessive acceleration and abrupt braking. Now, it's the same if you're driving with a petrol or a diesel vehicle. If you are to constantly speed after a traffic light, then brake suddenly, you're going to have lower miles per gallon, and you're going to need to top up fuel more frequently. The same can be for that of an electric vehicle. make sure that you try to, where possible, gently accelerate. And I know electric cars can be addictive to floor it because of the sudden, pace of the acceleration. But where possible, try to have softer feet. So accelerate and to brake lightly, or if you're using the regenerative braking, obviously let it do its magic. But you will see some increases in range and efficiency there as well. The fourth one, again, this may sound obvious, but a lot of people do actually make this mistake, is not taking the outside temperature into account. Now, in the UK, we are for most of the year, one of the colder climates, unfortunately. Now, don't be surprised if you buy your brand new shiny EV in the summer, you're getting 250 miles of range, that you're not going to be getting those figures come December, January, February. That is because in colder climates, EVs, batteries take a bit longer to warm up, and they're going to require more energy to power the actual car. Likewise, in the winter months, you're more likely to use heated seats, or put the heated steering wheel, or whatever it might be. That's going to also deplete from the power. Yes, okay, in the summer months, you might have the AC on, but generally speaking, colder weather does impact the battery life of an electric car when you're talking about driving in the winter versus the summer. And finally, the fifth point, which is again a follow on from that fourth point, and if you really do want to be maximizing your savings and you are penny pinching, then this is something that you should advise. And again, it may seem obvious, but using aircon and heated seats when not necessary. If it's boiling hot, if it's 30 degrees plus Celsius, okay, yeah, put your aircon on. But you don't want the heated seats on by accident and you leave them on, and it's warm weather and you realize, oh wait a minute, it's warm, why have the heated seats on? It's silly small things like that. Over time, okay, you might be losing 5 to 10 miles of range for one journey, which may not impact you too much, but over the course of a month or 6 months or a year, you are looking at potentially hundreds of miles that you could have saved if you were just a little bit more intuitive when it came to your aircon and your heated seats, and only using them when absolutely necessary. That's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Please do remember to give this video a like and comment down below some of the bad habits you may have if you do have an electric car, something that you may need to eradicate. Again, a lot of these also do apply to petrol or diesel vehicles, especially when it comes to driving too fast or the excessive braking and acceleration. That does impact your miles as well, and the frequency of how often you would top up. So the same principles applies when it comes to actually charging your car for an EV as well. And hopefully we will be back with another video next week. Thanks and peace out.